Hello, hello. We are here with Sellieve Neptune. Hopefully I said your name right, Sellieve. But
Absolutely.
okay, we've known each other for several years, maybe 15
10 years.
years, 10 years. Okay. And yeah, I've known Sellieve when I first met her. She was wearing, well, lots of crystals. And so she has a big interest in crystals, and she's been an astrologer for a long time. She comes from a long lineage of astrologers. And we're here to hear from her about color theory and astrology. So,
Mhm.
how's your day going, first of all?
Oh, I feel pretty pumped. It's a bright sunny day in Tucson, Arizona, and I went marching up and down the block. And I'm excited for whoever might end up seeing this video. I got all dressed up, all funky for it, and like my new pink and orange sunglasses that are holographic keep changing as I move. And I consider
Yeah.
myself a modern psychological astrologer because I've dipped my toes into many different ideologies and schools of thought. And what really hits the most strong is like how our personalities can develop over time, how we evolve spiritually, emotionally, mentally, based on like how different transits can like be absolutely earth shattering for our whole human life experience, or how like our progress charts can show how we go through these different phases that we develop out of one archetype and into another, even though you still maintain your natal chart forever. Um, and so, like, I'm into understanding how planetary transits and other techniques make us feel rather than being very fatalistic about this will absolutely happen. Like, experiencing it on a soul level and also using it as a mental introspective tool to become the best version of yourself. And
Nice. Are you feeling the
one
sun?
of the more
Are you feeling the sun opposed Saturn at all?
a little, yeah, like there is like a heaviness and anxious, somber kind of
Yeah.
like take things seriously, focus in kind of vibes.
Yeah, it's true. We're taking you seriously today, so we'll take it as a win for this hour, that Sun Saturn. But I like what you're saying there, that you're not a fatalistic astrologer. Now, have you studied Hellenistic astrology though? I feel like you have.
Yeah, to some extent. I mean, I know how to do annual perfections. I am 32 years old right now, and so I know that I'm a ninth house perfection year. And
Oh,
if you make it into whole sign, which frankly, I don't really dig whole sign. I like all the time-based systems, but like, let's see. So I'd be Virgo would be the ninth house if I do whole sign. So I'm in a Mercury Time Lord year. But I mean, otherwise, I don't really know that much Hellenistic. Like, I mean, I know they use the traditional rulers, like Saturn is for both Aquarius and Capricorn, um, and that they only use the five major aspects that Claudius Ptolemy came up
mm.
with.
Wow,
But
wow, wow. Did you study Liz Green books? Like, isn't she the psychological
a
lady?
little bit, yeah. Like I read some of Astrology of Fate, and honestly, like her writing style is so dense. It's just like, oh,
Oh, okay. Who are your
yeah.
favorite authors in astrology?
I like Tracy Marks, Isabel Hickey. Ariel Gutman has that brilliant book about the Venus star points. Bernadette Brady, I love her Eagle and the Lark book. I love Carol Rushman's Art of Predictive Astrology, Stephen Arroyo. And of course, my stepfather is Philip Sedgwick, who does the astrology of deep space, like the Kuiper Belt objects and heliocentric astrology.
Wow, wow. Okay, it's cool to see like where you've studied. Now, do you do currently do readings for people?
Yes, like I have given some recently. I've been at some psychic fairs locally here in Tucson, and I'm open to wherever else there might be some kind of an event that would welcome an astrologer to do walk-in readings. I find it challenging to give readings on the spot. Like for a long time, I used to like spend at least a couple hours studying someone's charts and then write a in-depth report about like their birth chart, their transits, their progress chart, what mostly natal was what I was the best at. But yeah, but so like writing a report on someone's chart, that takes a lot of spoons and focus and time and energy to like make sure the writing style is good, whereas like giving them in person is a completely different animal, that it's like about knowing how to talk to different kinds of people right when you meet them and explain any question on the fly without being given time to prepare it.
Yeah, that's so interesting. You're speaking to the part of the reading equation of like speaking to the language of the receiver. And I think when you write a report, you don't always know who you're speaking to. So sometimes it's like, what would they know? What don't they know? And writing reports is a bear, man. That's impressive that you've done that. But yeah, then when
Mhm.
you do readings on the fly, you have to kind of figure out like who is this person I'm talking to, and so we definitely know that you know your astrology. I think the reading portion of that job is like its own animal, you know. So okay, before we go into color theory, let's talk a little bit about you. So you're a super Capricorn, aren't you? With the
Okay,
goats. Show us the goats.
absolutely. Yeah, all right. So I have this goat calendar that I kept the pictures and um put them all over my walls to be very empowering to my stellium, because I have so it starts out with the dwarf planet Ceres, also known as an asteroid. So my stepfather claims Ceres is a dwarf planet because it's so heavily dense. Like it's one of the most dense objects in the entire solar system. So, from a scientific standpoint, if people believe that astrology has the mechanism that it works because of having a gravitational pull, that each planet um, has a way of like pulling on us, um, and like some quantum physics practitioners believe in this, but so like since Ceres is so concentrated and compact that it could have just as much of an effect on us humans living on Earth as all the other planets that we normally know of. And at the very least, it probably takes more effect on us than the rest of the items in the asteroid belt, because they are of so many different sizes that it's debatable whether like some little piece of debris is really going to affect your life. But I mean, so like asteroids, like I mean, I'm open to them, but they're just not my forte of specialty. Um, I've played with the name asteroids a little bit, and like how there's different asteroids that can say something shockingly specific about your life, but definitely Ceres like says something about like the history of how you were nurtured, and both in terms of food and motherly nurturing, because in mythology, Demeter was like a helicopter parent to Persephone when she got taken into the underworld. So, um, and so like Ceres definitely has to do with feast and famine, both figuratively and literally. But all right, I went off on a tangent.
Yeah.
Um, backtracking. So how did I get on the
We were talking about your Capricorn stellium. How many
oh,
planets do you have in Capricorn?
yes. Yes, so I have the dwarf planet series is like the head of the train of my Capricorn stellium at 4 degrees Capricorn in the 12th house if you use the time-based systems. And then I have Mars at 6 degrees Capricorn. And some ancient astrology, I've seen this one technique like 6 degrees of cardinal is one of the critical degrees, but I digress. I have Mercury at 10 degrees Capricorn. Then I have Uranus at 14 degrees Capricorn, and Neptune and the rising at 16 degrees Capricorn. I have Neptune like a quarter of a minute, or a quarter of a degree, which is 15 minutes away from my rising. So that's why I go by Sellieve Neptune. And then I have the sun at 26 degrees Capricorn, and Black Moon Lilith, for those who are open to that, believe in it, at 29 degrees Capricorn. So another critical degree. And the sun, and some people say 26 degrees of cardinal is also like a very powerful one. So that being my son, like, so like I'm
Wow.
like
You know, I've been
pointed.
saying this to you for years, but I have to say it on this video one last time so that people who meet you can know. But it's like in the ancient
Um,
texts, they would say Capricorn is the color of castor brown, which is the brown of a beaver's tail. And like, I
yeah,
love your hair and your eye color because they're both castor brown, and like you're this
yeah,
ultimate Capricorn with all that brown. And I just think, what a
yeah.
cool beauty, a Capricorn beauty. So, um, you have a Gemini moon, right?
Absolutely. And like I've heard like a lot of babies are born with blue eyes. My eyes were the same color right when I was born. Like I've always just had like these piercing dark eyes. And what's so funny is like, so with Neptune on the rising and that having to do with your appearance, I've had people tell me that I look like I'm stoned all the time, like my pupils are always dilated just because my eyes are so dark. But
Uh,
whether no matter how sober I am, I always look like this. So it's just
uh,
so funny that it worked out that way. And like, I'm a great example of how planets are stronger than signs in a way. Because, like, despite the huge Capricorn stellium, it's like having Uranus and Neptune straddling the rising. So that makes me an unconventional, more electrified Capricorn. That's the Uranus. And then the Neptune makes it all like mystical, bohemy, dreamy,
yeah, interesting.
bohemian. I mean, yeah,
Yeah,
and like out there, like
wow.
I
That
sometimes
is
like when
actually a
I'm
really good
completely
point because often people associate Capricorn with
yeah,
traditionalism, and you're definitely in that like neo deconstructionist generation of like Capricorns who like just tear it all down. You guys are like deconstructing systems. You're not necessarily here to be traditional.
that's a great word for it. And like Daniel Giammario has said, like the people who are currently Capricorn rising are like rewriting the rules of Saturn. And he's one of my beloved mentors. So I have delved into shamanic astrology as well.
Oh wow. Oh yeah. That's so funny. We actually were asking the question the other day about shamanism in the remediation group, and I think his name came up as a shamanic astrologer because we were saying that, astrologers are somewhat like shamans in that we heal the soul a lot. We're kind of more theoretical than a shaman, maybe more Gemini than a shaman, but so
Hmm.
okay, well, it was so fun to get to know you there. So what do you got for us today? You're gonna give us a little lesson, huh?
Oh yeah. So um with the 12 zodiac signs, you can line them up with the 12 color wheel. If I mean, like, of course, there's many different ways to compartmentalize colors, and however many you use, you could distribute it so many different ways. But in traditional color theory, there's a wheel of 12 colors that can line up right with the zodiac. So if you want to begin Aries and red together, it makes perfect sense. And then Taurus being like orangish red. I even though at first it sounds counterintuitive for Taurus to be like a dark orange, but like if we think of it like bricks and like Taurus is like building and structure and like putting things together in a very solid type of way. And then Gemini being regular orange, and Cancer being yellowish orange, and Leo being yellow, Virgo being like lime green chartreuse in between yellow and green, Libra being medium green, Scorpio being teal in between green and blue, Sagittarius being a pure blue, Capricorn being indigo, Aquarius being purple, Pisces being like a maroon or like a magenta, like in between purple and red. It's because it's very mystical, and it's got a dreamy, um, enchanting look about it. Um, and
Mhm.
like there's many other ways to do this. Like I've seen like there's this other color wheel where Aries is still red, but then Libra is cyan. Like and but those that color wheel is not as evenly distributed, but that's the one that's like on some computers when you create your own colors. Like it still fits the sign traits in its own way. Like I can definitely see cyan for Libra that the personality, it can be like mellow and airy and diplomatic and has a finesse about it. But
Yeah, the colors I use, and I've been doing this for like 25 years, are different than the ones that you. This is like more my the color wheel. Like here'd be Aries,
mm,
Leo, which is orange, Sag is yellow. Here's Capricorn.
oh,
See the color of your hair, and
oh
I
yeah, all the
that,
brown for
yeah, that brown.
Capricorn. Right.
Aquarius. But I'm not saying that one is right or wrong. I mean, I've just like researched physiognomy, which is how people look according to their charts, and this is what I've kind of come up with, and also watching the sun cycle go through. But anyway, I'm curious to learn what your system today. There are many color systems out there, and I think it would be really hard to research. I mean, it's hard to research which one of these is correct, although we can look at triples. Triple Capricorns or triple Sagittarians, and like see like what the coloring is, and I think that can give us some inkling. I don't know. What do you go on though? I just want to acknowledge saying
Right.
there are
Yeah.
several systems.
hmm And like so in color theory, where it goes by the basic 12 color wheel, where there's three primary colors, three secondary colors, and six tertiaries in between all of those. So so I made this and I did the mutable tetrad. And so like in color theory, there's tetrads where like every 90 degrees you use a color. Um, and like so there's different theories of like which colors are harmonious with each other or like the kind of energy they create with one another. So tetrads are very dynamic, just like squares are, as we know in astrology, like the conflict that motivates us to action. And so the mutable tetrad has Sagittarius blue, Gemini orange. So those are perfect opposites. And then Pisces, the maroon, purplish, red, opposite. Virgo, the chartreuse green. And so every tetrad in the color wheel basically gets uh, one primary color, one secondary color, and two tertiary colors. And so in a way, like we see how that color combination kind of clashes, but is also gives a feeling of excitement. And I find it fascinating how like the three fire signs get all the primary colors, and like that's like what fire is made of. Like Sagittarius is blue at the bottom of the flame, like or like when you turn on a gas stove, it's blue fire. And then like there's like red and orange in a fire too, but then like there's yellow running through it, and it's like Leo is like a bonfire that everyone huddles around. Sagittarius is like a wily um unpredictable fire, and then Aries is like a torch. That's how I symbolically put it with each of the different kinds of fire. um but so yeah, and so then the air signs get the secondary colors, green being Libra, orange being Gemini, and purple being Aquarius. And in a way, it makes sense for the fire signs to get the most unadulterated colors, being the primary ones that are just like the most raw and pure, because in a way, the fire signs are the easiest ones to understand. And of course, that's debatable. I'm sure there's a Leo out there who's like, nobody understands me. But I mean, like from an archetypal perspective, like understanding like what each sign means, like Aries being the first one, it's like the most what you see is what you get. And like the fire signs tend to be the most honest in a way, or the most like blunt and tactless tell it like it is, most unfiltered, which for better or for worse. I mean, Aquarius is known for honesty as well, and then that goes into color psychology. That like purple is like being loyal and true, and that makes sense for Aquarius. And then I read just recently that purple is associated with being individualistic, and it's just like light bulb moment how perfect for Aquarius, wanting to be different. And also because like with the color distinction test, not everybody can even see every color on the spectrum. Like some people can't see purple and just see it as blue, that so it's like more individuality to see purple at all, let alone use it. um
Well,
and
going back
like,
to your idea about the squares as being kind of dynamic color situations, I never thought about that, like how the angles, squares, trines, and everything would show up with color wise. So that's a really interesting concept and a good point. I just want to say.
absolutely. So then I made the other tetrads. This is for the cardinal signs, Aries being red, opposite Libra green, and then both of those are squared to Capricorn indigo, which is opposite Cancer, which is a yellowish orange.
Mm. I like your
Um,
drawings.
Thank you. Yeah, I've done a lot of psychedelic art, and like I have those nearby if we have time, but I know we only have like 33 minutes left, but
Mm.
I'll happily show them if we can. But
Mm.
yeah, so it's like while at first we might think like orangey yellow for Cancer, huh? It seems like it would be like a lot of blues in the ocean and stuff, but like I feel like orangey yellow is like warm and nurturing. It is like a kind of a caretaking color, that it's like you want to be out in the warmth to feel like you're being taken care of in a way.
Interesting. Interesting.
Yes. Whereas, like, how people stereotypically say Capricorn is cold and indigo is a very cold color in a way. But I mean, but I do kind of want to smash the stereotypes because, like, I mean, I just, there's so many different ways someone can manifest the sign, and someone might not realize, like, maybe if a Capricorn comes off as cold, maybe it's not of any negative intention, or maybe it's not always because they lack any understanding, but maybe they just have something else going on that is pertinent to their attention. And sometimes you have to have that, like, no, I'm not going to deal with that right now. I got to bring my attention to this or whatever.
Mhm.
And so that might be why Capricorn is labeled as cold. But then
So
let's
where
see.
did you get the colors associated with the signs? Like, what was that something you made up, or was it is something you found?
I've seen it in general, but it's basically like just like when you make a 12 color wheel, like where it begins with red and then opposite green, and then like so if you make the three primary, three secondary, and six tertiary, and it if you just line it up evenly with each of the signs, then is it just ends up that way.
Okay, okay. So it's something
But
that
yeah,
you
there
kind
could
of
be other
just kind of
possibilities.
figured that you could do. It wasn't like you read it in an article or something.
Right. Well, I mean, like I've seen it around somewhere. I can't remember where. I mean, I've seen some places use it, but then like the colors of light are actually very different than the colors of paint. Like where strangely enough, if you put together red and green, it makes a yellow light. Like if you look up close on a TV screen, you will see that if like you're watching SpongeBob and you look at it up close, like he's actually made of red and green and stuff like that. That completely confuses me. I don't understand the physics of that.
Interesting.
but but yeah, so then I made the fixed sign tetrad. So where it's Leo is yellow, Taurus is orangey red, Scorpio is teal, and what am I missing? Aquarius is purple. So that's pretty smashing. Like the I feel like the yellow and purple combination is feels like royalty. It's like this uh a robe that a king would wear and the jewels and the golden crown on his forehead. So it's like, because the fixed signs are like, here I am royalty kind of attitude.
Yeah.
And so like I wrote down traits for all the fixed signs that like kind of are suited to all four of them: authenticity, drama, performance, consistency, charisma, innovation, attention, seduction, and control.
Wow, good words.
Into determination. Yeah,
Yeah.
because like that fits all of the fixed signs pretty well. And it's like, so as far as Scorpio teal, like it's got a mysterious quality, teal sure does. And so um I mean, I can also like from the more intuitive perspective, like Cancer, the ocean could be teal too, but nonetheless. And then I made a triad for the water signs. So in color theory, there's triads where every 120 degrees, the colors are, it makes like a more harmonious um, color combination, just like how trines are the easy free flowing energy. So the
I
water
like how you
triad.
can feel the element on the page, like in the fixed page, it was all like squarey and kind of more
Exactly. Yeah,
fixed.
thank
Yeah,
you. Yeah, that was totally what I was going for.
yeah,
Right.
that's
Yeah, so Pisces being like the maroon, and then Cancer being the orangey yellow, and Scorpio being teal. That's the water signs triad. And then the earth sign triad would also be all tertiary colors: Capricorn indigo combined with Virgo chartreuse, and Pisces and and Taurus, the reddish orange. So the tertiary colors, in my opinion, are underused and just look so beautiful that they make us see the little nuances and the in-betweens of life.
mhm.
And so
I do
I
think
try
this
to
is a very
incorporate that.
psychedelic take on colors. Like it's cool to see your colors, whereas like mine are like more traditional, and yours are like this kind of like sub psychedelic
Right.
approach, which is your chart. So this is perfect.
Absolutely. Right. Yeah. So Neptune on the rising is like a more psychedelic Capricorn. And like this is kind of PG-13, and I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but one of the Norwacs that I went to, Becca Tarnas, gave a presentation about the discovery of LSD. And when it was made, the chart had Neptune on the rising and a yod pointing to it.
Oh wow, yeah, you can totally say. I think astrology is an R-rated study, honestly.
Yeah.
If I was
Yeah.
guessing.
Right, and I look forward to at some point. I want to buy the tapes of the erotica astrology courses that you filmed. But yeah, so since speaking of yachts, so then something in color theory is called a split complementary, where it's almost the opposite colors, but just one off of it. Um, so I know this might look kind of confusing and hard to understand, but so I um did the 12 color wheel with the signs, and I tried to make tiny little lines of like how each there's a point to each. And then like, so yaws, for those who might or might not already know, is when there's a sextile, like so two planets are 60 degrees apart, and then both of those each make a quincunx to another planet or point that is 150 degrees apart. So then it makes an isosceles triangle. It makes a very sharp pointy triangle.
I
And in
love
a
your
sense,
Capricorn symbol, by the way.
yeah, absolutely. Like, yeah, it's like got the most going on to it. And in that way, like Capricorn in a way is like one of the most complex signs. Like
Mm.
that it's hard to understand. And like the color indigo is hard to understand. And that's going to be a segue to another point I have. But first I'll complete this. So like so each one of these clusters is like each yod. So like so yeah, Aquarius and Aries pointing to Virgo, and So like each combination where three colors together make a split complementary in color theory, like it just gives like a really smashing like uh it invokes a lot of emotion when you look at the split complementaries in a sense. Like so Taurus and Cancer pointing to Sag, um, Sagittarius and Libra pointing to Taurus. Oh yeah, by the way, my stepdad Philip Sedgwick got me in the habit of saying Libra, but then I've also been told Libras are not liars, and but
Uh,
then so however you want to pronounce it. But then Philip is like, you go to the library, not the library. So
oh,
who
interesting.
knows?
Well, it sounds very erudite either way. And
Oh,
can I make a point? I love Philip, by the
yeah.
way, Philip Sedgwick.
Oh,
You guys should
absolutely.
check him
Yeah.
out. He's one of my favorite
Mhm.
astrologers. So
Mhm.
so basically, what I think you're one of the things I'm really getting from your presentation, is that if you're going to be an artist, I think being an astrologer is one of the best things to be. Also because it creates infinite combinations of colors and ideas. Like if you took you gave your certain color wheel, and then now you're doing all the yod combinations. And like if you're an artist, you could say like I need a combination of three colors for a painting. You'd be like, oh, I could use my yod or whatever. But it's like
Yes.
that's such a great use of color theory with astrology, is to be an artist and use all these different combinations. So it is.
Wow, you just sparked a brilliant idea. So it's like if somebody has a yacht in their chart, which not every does, it's kind of fairly rare, but I see it often enough that like if they were starting a business or if they were painting their house or something, maybe they would want to incorporate the colors of their yacht into whatever they're doing.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
So mine, I have the sun in Capricorn, Pluto, 22 degrees Scorpio, and the moon in Gemini. So that yod, so like yeah, indigo and teal pointing to orange would be the colors of mine. And
Mm.
let's see, so yeah, so all the different yod combinations, like so yeah, there's Capricorn and Pisces pointing to Leo. And
Mm.
yeah, so both of the M's, Virgo and Scorpio, pointing to Aries. Um, and let's see. And yeah, so
Mm.
Virgo and Cancer pointing to Aquarius. Um, let's see. Yeah, so and like yachts are like a whole nother topic in of itself. Like I could do a whole webinar just about that because I know so many different techniques you can use with them. And like so like we've only got 20 minutes left. um so uh
Maybe
the
we can have you
segue with
back to talk about yachts someday.
yes, I would love that because like there's um so many fun tricks, and it's kind of like they're a secondary north node in the sense that the point of your yod, the apex, is like another way to see your life purpose in a way, because like I have the moon in Gemini in the sixth house, but that's a whole nother topic. But um so Sir Isaac Newton, who is not spoken enough about his work in astrology because, like, oh, these scientists, they just want to like cover that up and look at what's concrete. And like Sir Isaac Newton famously said, but I have actually studied astrology. You, sir, have not. Like, whenever somebody would like diss what he was saying about it. Um, and so he came up with Roy G. Biv, the color scheme, so the seven colors. And I find it very curious that like so how come he only mentions indigo as like the only tertiary color and then the rest or whatever. But so yeah, so Roy G. Biv stands for red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. um and so he was a Capricorn, and he used indigo, and it's like he intuitively had some kind of connection to it. And it could be like to line it up with the like he, since seven is a sacred number, like some people theorize he wanted to line it up with how like God took 7 days to create everything, or 7 days of the week and so on, because like some people who are superstitious like say six is some kind of heebie-jeebies number. But I mean, those who do numerology say six is a very balanced number because it's 2 times 3. But yeah, so it just all depends on how you look at it. And then with that perspective of like uh honoring both sides, and um finding a harmony, a agreement, like that's my moon in Gemini, that like weighing things out and honoring that different perspectives are correct in their own way. And that's another point I wanted to bring up, is that like in feminine logic, what colors blend from one to the next, and there isn't like a clean cut compartment. And that connects to how some people believe that you can be born on the cusp of a sign, that like if you're, say, for example, at the end of Aquarius, beginning of Pisces, you might be a little bit of both. And then some will say, like, oh, that's because they probably have Mercury or Venus in the adjacent sign. But then some people swear, no, I don't have the adjacent sign. And I feel like I absolutely am the description of being born on the cusp. But then also honoring the other perspective of compartmentalization and clear cut boundaries, that you're either 29 degrees Aquarius or 0 degrees Pisces or whatever. That's the masculine logic, where you draw clean lines, and it's like it's either purple or it's maroon. It's either green or it's teal or it's blue, or so yeah, so you understand what I'm saying, like the two different perspectives of like bringing together like color ideologies versus like being born on the cusp or not, or like just things in life in general, like seeing all the different gray areas and possibilities versus this or that.
Oh, interesting. So you're saying that like, there's colors that are on the cusp, like so like this would be like maybe a brownish orange or something like that.
Yeah.
It's not colors are, yeah, it's like signs. They kind of are tones, and you can blend them together, and that's an interesting point. I love that point.
Mm-hmm. Because like I used to be one of those people, like you're either 29 degrees Taurus or you're 0 degrees Gemini. But then I thought more deeply, and I'm like, well, I kind of only parroted that because that's what a lot of astrologers told me was more correct. And it's like, but why couldn't there be like if people feel like they've experienced being born on the cusp, then like let's validate other people's experiences and not feel like it has to be a certain way. Like, yeah, I guess it's also like Saturnian ideologies versus Uranus Neptune is like it's all true, man. It's all, we're doing our own thing,
Well,
man.
in the gender and astrology show, we're talking about taking a kind of traditionalistic, simplistic perspective, and then you can take a liberal perspective on the same topic. So, a traditional perspective would say like either you're a Capricorn or an Aquarius, and that's concrete. That's kind of binary, like 0, 1, right? Which is useful in certain situations. Like, let's say you're grouping people in a room, like, are you a Capricorn or an Aquarius? You got to pick one. So in that case, it's useful. But if we take a more liberal perspective and say there is a cusp, and we'd say that, when the sun's on the cusp, the light is actually different than when it's in the middle of the sign. So I think they're both valid perspectives, and we can go, that's a binary too, of like like, linearity to liberalism.
Yes. Oh, that's a good way to put it. Linearity versus liberalism. And then like so like you being sun 29 degrees Libra, it's like yeah, you like weigh out the different options and see how each perspective has got its own thing going on. Like, so that's both like a Gemini and a Libra thing, like to honor different viewpoints. And so it's like, in a way, I do see you as absolutely Libra, that you're super cerebral and like your mind goes into all these places at rapid speed. But then, like, I also do feel like the Scorpio intensity and like feeling everything so deeply is what I get.
Interesting. Well, yeah, and it's funny because I identify as a Scorpio technically, but from a technical perspective, because my sun is at 2947 Libra, which is almost, if I was born 9 hours later, I would have Scorpio, but I have Mercury in Scorpio ruling my chart because I'm a Gemini rising right on the sun. So you see me being very Scorpio, and it's that Mercury in Scorpio right on there. Like, so I think I express, I would say I'm probably a mix of both, but yeah, I mean, see how we could just say like Andy is a Libra. Technically, she's a Libra. Or we could take a liberal approach and be like, well, this and this, all things considered, and like that's true of color and a lot like you're saying. I love that point you brought up.
Hmm. Um, your sun is square my black moon Lilith, both at 29 degrees, like boom.
No wonder we get along. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I mean, it's a square, but I mean, like, who knows? Like, there's
I know.
some. Oh well, I mean, but I know, like, you and me have like amazing synastry in other ways. Like your moon in Pisces is sextile some of my Capricorn stuff, and I know there was a bunch of other stuff, but like, I digress. And let's see. Okay, so we've got like 13 minutes left. I guess, yeah, I could share some of the images. Let's see.
Can I ask you a question? Um,
Mhm,
so like
absolutely.
I like your idea about the squares and the colors and stuff. Like, so what's it look like with a trine, like in the colors? You
Right.
know, would the colors be kind of more, do you, okay. So that's,
Right, yeah. Yeah, so like that's like there's the water trine, and I didn't make one for the other signs, but like, so like, yeah, like, so how the fixed signs like green, orange, and purple um line up, and it's like that's a pretty pleasant combination. And then like uh for the earth signs, like indigo, reddish orange, and chartreuse is a pretty smashing combo. Or like for the fire signs, the primary colors, red, yellow, orange, basically is used in so many different like companies and like logos and stuff. And oh yeah, so like speaking of like logos and stuff, like so in general, it's really rare that I see a company that uses a tertiary color in their logo. Like, it seems like almost all of them use primary colors because they're the most easily recognizable, is good for marketing. But like, say for example, H&R Block and Ryobi Tools use that chartreuse, that lime green, and that's Virgo. And to me, like, those two companies make perfect sense for Virgo. Like, Virgo is tools, getting physical concrete work done, doing the job right. And like taxes, like, you want a Virgo to do your taxes.
yeah, oh, yeah, totally. There's a lot of
Mhm.
things you want a Virgo to do, honestly. Like
Yeah,
edit your book, take out the trash. No, I'm just kidding, but like, no,
yeah,
totally.
pretty much.
Yeah. So,
Right.
wow.
And let's see, any other questions?
I
Because
yeah,
like I
I just want to iterate that point, or just make sure that people heard your point there. It's like, color theory and astrology can be used in branding your company, branding your chart. You can, if you're making a website of yourself, you can say what colors are in my chart and make a website from there. I mean, I think there's a lot of ways to use astrological color theory that are really, you know, epic, honestly. You can get a car in the color of your chart, you can get an iPhone, all kinds of things.
Yeah. Right. So I'm just randomly sharing a color psychology mood thing. I don't have time to like go into every little thing, but like I just found this one very thought provoking, like to meditate on how some of these traits might connect with the signs, like how Pisces and Neptune have to do with losses, and like grief and powerless, or like the maroon purple between red and purple. But then also like the positive traits too, like that it's like dreamy and whatnot. Let's see. Oh, oops. Let's see. And then stop share, and then share. Let's see. let's see. And I wanted to share the chart of Sir Isaac Newton.
Wow, that's a
Um,
cool style. Is that Treeman's art?
yes, yeah, he's a good friend of mine, and so like so I was thinking like um it's just I want to get more into his work and publicize more that he was actually an astrologer and like one of the founders of color theory and one of the founders of physics, like well they call it Newtonian physics and gravity and stuff, and it's like so like what comes up must come down. That's very Saturn and Capricorn that his son was. I think he was born January 4th, and so it's like so he's a good example like of a more mystical and an intuitive Capricorn, but also like creating the rules of physics.
Mm. This is Treeman you're talking about?
Or I mean like that. Well, he made that art of the chart of Isaac Newton.
Yeah, what's his last name? Treeman Anderson?
Anderson.
Okay, you can find him on Facebook. He does a lot of chart art
Yes.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, so he makes these really fun mandalas and does really creative things like where he combines artificial intelligence with his own astrology interpretations.
Wow.
Um, but I digress. Let's see. So here's other color psychology things that I found very thought provoking, like that some of them sort of connect to um, the signs and traits in a way.
Interesting. So, like, red would be anger, rage, mean, which we associate some of those with Aries, like anger,
Yeah, it
rage.
totally could be. Mhm.
Yeah, and then the greens would be like more Virgo, like you're saying, aware, curious, learning, knowing, sharing, interesting. Huh.
Mhm. Let's see, and then if there's time for as many images as I can, let's see. Oh yeah, so the color distinction test. So I found this video from this one content creator called Only J Us, and like she was talking about well I don't know, maybe they're they, I don't know, but anyways the how some people can see more or less colors than everybody else, and like so based on this image, like if you can only see like 20 colors or less, then you're colorblind, and if you can see like between like 25 and 32 colors, you're normal. And then if you can see like between 33 and 39 colors, then you have the high color distinction gene where you have like four cones that affect your vision. And so like how not everybody can differentiate blue, indigo, and purple. Some people can see them all one and the same. And it also depends on like what environment you grew up in. Like this other YouTube show, like what's it called? Infographics show was saying like so people who live in Africa and see all these plains, like they can distinguish all these different shades of yellow and browns and stuff, but then they can't distinctify different shades of blue very well.
Oh,
And
wow.
so, yeah, so it's like you can train your eyes to see more or less of some colors. And yeah, I'm sure like interior decorators, like they work with it all the time, and um, they can see every nuance between all the different shades and hues of colors.
Well, and
And
just to add on what you're saying, I think there are some charts that are more sensitive to color, like Pisces people are very sensitive to color in general, or
uh,
light in the changes in light and frequency. So some charts might be more attuned to color. And then also there's that whole idea of like, do we all see red the same way or do we all see blue the same way? And the astrologer would say, no, it kind of depends on your chart, what colors you see in what ways, like each of us has a different visions of what like of what we see the world as. The chart is an eyeball. I mean, it looks like an eyeball, and you know, a lot of those ancient theories had to do with optics and how we see the world, you know.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Oh, how do I get me to get back on? Oh, there we are. Yes.
This
Yeah,
is
so
great.
I decided to wear teal and like orangey yellow, some of the tertiary colors for this. So this has got like Scorpio and Cancer colors going on, and then like I'm wearing some stones, tanzanite and funny little dice and whatever, and a list of different crystals here, but that's like a whole nother topic in of itself. So like with the
Okay, we got
last
to
few
have you back
minutes,
for crystals and yods. Can
that would be really fun.
do we have time to see some of your psychedelic art?
Yeah, I guess like there's a few minutes. Yeah. So um but yeah, so like I've noticed like I think I might have more distinction for the cool colors than I do for different shades of yellow. So who knows? Um But let's see. So this one, it's like you
Oh,
look at it one way and it says euphoria, and then you turn it upside down and it says dysphoria, and it has all these discordant colors that kind of clash.
wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
Are you a raver?
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what candy is?
Well, I could take that a few different ways, like that you can wear candy jewelry, or
Yeah.
there's certain items that are put into candy.
Yeah, we're gonna have to trade some candy. Like I got
Yeah.
BL over here. I can send you some raver candy. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. Sure.
Yeah.
Yes, but yeah, so apparently dogs actually see kind of like a black light, like where things have like a shade of blue, like if you're wearing blue sunglasses to tint your world, that's how dogs see. And like so they see like neon yellow as glowing. So that's like a fun little factoid that I learned at a dog shelter. But let's see. Let's see. So
Wow.
there's one. Yeah.
Cool.
Mhm.
Wow, you love colors. Like that must be
Oh
like
yeah. A lot of these I made a long time ago during the lockdown, and that was a fifth house perfection year. Age 28 is the fifth house universally back to like getting into Hellenistic techniques. But yeah, I am open to learning more Hellenistic stuff because I've probably only had the tip of the iceberg.
yeah.
Um, that's a
Wow.
fun one, and it looks like a bunch of eyes and like
Wonderful. All right, well, we got 1 minute. Are there any last points that you want us to know? This has been so awesome.
oh man, I guess we're good. I'm just like getting like fear of missing out. Like like what else could there be?
Well, I know
Uh,
what. I know what. If people want to contact you just for you to tell them about colors in their chart or their chart in general, how can people get a hold of you?
Yes, so you can add me on Facebook. My I'm the only one named Sellieve on Facebook as far as I know. Sellieve. So two L's, otherwise it's Sellieve with an S, and then Neptune. And I'll give out my phone number to who seems safe. But those are my two preferred forms of contact. I have an Instagram that I hardly ever check, but I have some of my art posted up on there. Um, let's see, anything else? Or
So Selene
I
Neptune,
talked
it's
about having a website, but that's a lot. That's a whole other thing that takes time and effort.
wow, that one's cool. So it's Seleve, it's Sellieve. Seleve,
Yeah,
Seleve Neptune. Okay, and you can find Seleve through my Facebook page. Sleeves around
absolutely.
sometimes. So Seleve, I thank you so much. You're such a good artist. I'm so glad we got to see some of your art. And also this is a great lesson for us on using and applying color theory with astrology. So I can't thank you enough, and I will thank you by sending you some candy.
All right. Oh, well, I don't know if that part can be edited, if that needs to be edited or kept on the video, because you just never know
how people assume and take things in. But yeah, so neon colors at raves like are totally fun, and it's like that's like a whole nother part of color theory in of itself is like the brightness of color versus darkness of color, and then like that could be connected to astrology too. Like I feel like Uranus connects to neon electric kind of colors that would glow under a black light, whereas like Saturn would be like the more somber. So like then that's completely separate from the 12 color wheel, but it's its own valid thing.
Wow, you're gonna have to become a teacher because you
Thank you. I
have.
hope so, because like I would like to, and I've just it's taken so many hurdles to step into who I am, and like now, thank goodness, now that I'm post Saturn return, like I'm 32 and a half now, and yeah, because I got 3 hits of my Saturn return. Whew.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
With that Mercury Mars conjunction, you'll be a great teacher. It'll give you because you have a lot the gift of gab. All right. Well, I do have to get off here. Is another meeting, but thank you so much, Sellieve. I'm glad we finally got to hear from you. And feel free. I'll post a video on the Facebook, and feel free to comment. And if you want to talk to anyone under the video. So,
yes.
all right.
All right. Well, thank you for anybody who ends up watching this. Have a beautiful, bright, and sparkly, colorful rest of your day.
All right. Bye, Sellieve.
Good night.